Hello, lighting people. It's Light Fair 2025, and we're catching up with two esteemed lighting design professionals in the trends area. We're here with Kustner of AKLD and Rachel Fitzgerald of Stantec. Rachel, Ann, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. Good to see you. Now, Ann and Rachel, you did a great presentation at Light Fair. You've done this previous times in other industry events. And one of the things that we're doing is lighting people, as opposed to say 15 years ago or so when we were living in a lamp world, we would just replace the lamps with new lamps and the life goes on in a halogen, fluorescent, and HID world. Today, things are more complicated. And tell us, where are we now and how do we get here from the maintenance and sustainability being a little bit more complicated these days?
Well, I think one of the things that we're finding out is that manufacturers haven't always thought that things needed to be maintained. They lived as if LEDs would last forever. And I think what we're trying to drive home, because we've had projects a number of years ago that we've designed that are now failing. And so what we want to do is to educate the industry and how we can solve this together to have them help us to have more maintainable, sustainable fixtures so we don't have to throw them away after 7 years.
Is that what you're finding? Is it 7-year kind of turnaround on a lot of these things, Ann?
Well, pretty much.
Yeah. So that's an important issue. Because now instead of throwing out a lamp or recycling a lamp, we're now throwing out a whole fixture in the dumpster, who knows where. And Rachel, when you think about how we can fix this, I guess it starts with, where's the accountability right now? Are we looking mainly at the manufacturers right now to help reduce this e-waste, or should we look in other areas too?
I think it's an entire ecosystem. That's what we've been talking about is everything from educating specifiers as to what manufacturers do have replaceable components, part numbers for those components. How can we evolve as specifiers our documentation, our design, and then the O&M materials that we're handing over to clients and facilities so that when they do have to maintain, what do they do? Because right now, a lot of them are calling, a Class C electrical contractor because all the big guys are busy doing big new work and they need small maintenance work. And those contractors don't know what to do with this product. So the suggestion is rip it out, throw the whole thing in the landfill. And that goes to this circular economy of we need an easier process for the education, the specifications, the part numbers to order those replacement parts, the training so that they're easy to swap in and out. So I think it's an entire ecosystem. It's not just on the manufacturers. They're a very important piece of it because we need, as specifiers, to drive the message and the old supply and demand adage. Yeah. We need to be demanding this so that we can support our clients that have 20, 30, 60-year facilities so that they have maintainable product that doesn't go in the landfill every 5 to 10 years.
When I first caught wind of you folks talking about this topic and bubbling it up to a more conscious level, I thought at first it was just another green, sustainable message, but this is really about the end user, the occupants that you serve who have to live with your designs for years, sometimes decades. And anyone who's watching this, we all probably went to middle school under fixtures that were decades old and we had the lamps replaced, and now here we are. So as we look at things right now in 2025, Ann, are there any promising signs? Do you see any modular solutions or anything else out there that looks like we're heading in the right direction? What do you see?
Well, one thing during this year of putting this together is that we have talked to a number of manufacturers and they have said, oh, well, we already are doing that. So one is oh, how are we supposed to know? And they thought everybody was doing it. So the good news is some manufacturers already are doing that. I think they need to let us know more, but I think we need to start asking that question okay, can I change out this LED chip? Can I easily change out the driver? And the lensing is another thing that has kind of an unsung thing that we're finding out more and more, that the lensing is falling out of fixtures, so for people to have that. But also talking to manufacturers to change, maybe tweak a design. One manufacturer we were talking to recently said, oh, we used to tape our LEDs to the heat sink, and now we are making them mechanically fastened so as to be more easy to change out.
So we're seeing that progress. And when you think about the entire work that you folks do on the front end, there's a lot of it. One of those things, important things, is putting together the entire fixture schedule from A to Z.
Yeah.
And Rachel, when you think about all the different fixture types, certainly you might be able to find some 4-foot linears or 2x2s or 1x4s that can probably eventually become modular if you don't already have those solutions. But how do we get to the point where the design community, the specifiers, are kind of driving the charge, or is this even feasible for the design community to drive the charge to get the manufacturers for not just the main fixtures, but maybe some of those more nuanced, LMNOP fixtures on that schedule as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, part of what we've joked about is how nice would it be, just like you have a declare label or other type of labels, could we have a label that gets standardized as part of spec sheets of this complies with some standards that meets requirements to have maintainable componentry. And yes, it's probably mostly applicable right now anyway. What we'd love to see is advancement of your linear boards, your downlights, your cove lights, your kind of more standardized modules. We know there's always going to be the decoratives. We, as designers and specifiers, we still want that freedom of the really great design tools that manufacturers are making in unique proprietary product. We're still going to have a need for those. But within that, we want to see more and more of the maintainable parts, the maintainable components, so that starts to become the vast majority anyway of a spec.
Yeah.
So that the majority of things are easier to maintain long-term for clients, but still giving us that freedom to create really great designs. But it's balancing those things, understanding who our clients are and what their long-term needs are, and working with the industry to drive that advancement of we need those tools. We need some way to design, specify, standardize product that has replaceable components and convey that to clients.
And when I hear you say that, Rachel, it makes me wonder, it feels like it's a two-pronged discussion, because it's not just the light source, it's also the driver, which is a major part of this as well, and probably the weakest link of the whole.
Very much so.
Right.
Yep.
So let's look forward, Anne. When we think about where are we headed, there's ideas that you folks proposed as far as having standard modularity or a consortium that kind of enforces some of these guidelines. There's lots of different solutions down the way. What do you think is maybe the best solution and maybe the most probable solution when you look 5-10 years down the road?
Well, I just came from a conversation from a driver manufacturer, and it's really, I think, breaking the mold. He's like, well, this fits all the standards. And I'm like, we got to break those standards. Like, they were only making drivers that lasted 50 to 100,000 hours. It's like, we have to break those standards. We have to have those going much longer. And my client will pay for it, and we can hold a spec if we have the right driver, and that means reduced maintenance. So I think really reaching out, and even to the OEMs, to like, okay, offer better chips and offer more maintainable options for the future.
When you look at the spec sheets of fixtures that might have some of these advantages that Rachel's, is it being spelled out in a way that it's obvious to you as specifiers?
No.
Very few manufacturers are doing that, and yay for that, that there are some, but we need more of it.
Yeah.
And just that clarity of documentation, information, the ability to educate specifiers, manufacturer clients, it's the whole ecosystem of all of it.
Yeah.
Well, I've been hearing the drumbeat of the two of you, as well as some of your colleagues that join you on stage for these presentations. It's such an important issue. I've been talking about it in my limited circles, and I know that you folks as well. Hopefully, the industry will back this mission. It's more than just green and sustainability. That's an important part of it, but it's really the maintenance and overall landfill and the benefits to the end user are obvious, and hopefully we can have a better conversation about this in the years ahead.
I hope so, hopefully.
And Rachel, thanks so much for joining us today for 5 good questions.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us. Great conversation.